Hello folks, it's Pheelan here. It's Wednesday morning again, and I'm back to do just a little brief discussion about land entrance motif. You know, I did this a couple of weeks ago. I was talking about land entrance in respect to the 40-year period in the wilderness, and how that 40-year period of the antitype was played out in the first century.
From AD 30 to AD 70.
When the system of worship, the modes of worship of the New Covenant were instituted, and how that system of worship and modes of worship were applied in the wilderness and were carried over once the temple fell, and how that's been going on for, 2,000 years. So, it's really important to have the type and the antitype, and to understand, the correspondences between type and antitype, which not all do. And I'm not trying to be snobbish or anything like that and say, well, nobody else understands but me. But these types are well defined within theology, within Christian theology. I see a lot of writers who see the same thing basically that I'm seeing. Well, what does land entrance mean? I think positionally, in a positional sense, the church entered the land in AD 70. Positionally, not experientially, because experientially we're still in the plains of Moab. We're still waiting for that final consummation of all things. And of course, once land entrance is effected in an experiential sense, that of course will be when all the rewards are given, God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven, etc., etc. And of course the millennium will take place. That's my belief. But in a positional sense, in a corporate positional sense, the church has entered the land, and we have a commission to fulfill, to go out and to disciple all nations, to do the same thing basically that they did in the old covenant age, except instead of applying the law, which would result in death, destruction, and punishment of the nations, we are applying the gospel. So everything that Christ taught on the Mount, everything that he taught during his ministry, everything that Paul and the apostles taught during that 40 years applies particularly to this age. So when the Israelites entered the land after the 40 years in the wilderness, they brought those appurtenances of worship and those systems of worship and the furniture and paraphernalia of worship, brought it over into the land with them. And then, of course, it became a permanent fact in their worship, in their experience. Now, there were some things, of course, that ceased after the 40 years. For instance, the manna from heaven, that ceased. The pillar of cloud and the pillar of fire, the visible manifestations of God's presence ceased, but not the actual manifestation. In other words, it was hidden in the Shekinah glory, in the holiest of all, but it was still present. God's presence was still present. And so it would only be visible to those who were, say, walking in the light in the sanctuary, who had access to the holiest of all. That didn't happen until the New Covenant age was brought in. So I think it's pretty important that all of these correspondences, that all of these types and antitypes be fully fleshed out. Otherwise you're going to miss a lot of truth. There's post-Christians and ex-Christians today who basically claim the whole story ended in AD 70. And it's difficult to even interact with these folks, because no matter what you tell them, they're always going to try to twist it around to, well, the story's over, it's ended.
That's not how it actually happens, though.
Once they enter the land, that's when the story begins to actually get relevant. That's when the story gets good. So finding out what happened after the 40 years is really important. Allows us to see what the antitype is all about. That the church would enter the land, that they would disciple all nations, that they would continue to fulfill their commission, and that the nations would be benefited thereby, which is what actually has been happening for 2,000 years. So what does land entrance really teach us? Well, it teaches us to look back to the original types in the Bible. It teaches us to study those types so that we can get relevance in our own experience, in our own walk today. But, that's just a little something I had for you this morning. Didn't want to beat a dead horse. But thanks for tuning in. I'll try to be back later. Try to do something tomorrow as well. We'll see how that works out. But thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for your comments. And have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Bye.